What is good, defenders? Welcome to episode 306 of the LAFC podcast your mother warned you about. That's right. This is Defenders of the Bank, and this is a fun one. Market 7, Donnie. Not 8 yet, but 7. That's right. LAFC extends their winning streak to 7 games, this time while celebrating Pride at BMO Stadium. And now we have a 2-week break. You know my voice. It's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert, coming at you live from Lawndale. I'm in Lawndale. That's right. Love it here in beautiful Lawndale. And sitting across the interwebs and in world-famous Philomonster Studios in Burbank, California, I give you one Christian Philly Philemon.
Good day, defenders, and good morning to the millions.
And millions.
You get to start your Sunday with the Scarf. You get to have Frühstück, that's the German word for breakfast, with Philly, which is me. Find time to chill with some coffee, perhaps a morning mimosa or a breakfast Bellini. Let Philly and the Scarf take you on a fantastic voyage while you extract those eggs, butter that bagel, and obtain that orange juice.
We're extracting eggs now?
I mean, somebody here might be a farmer, and you never want to discount the fact that farmers might listen to Defenders of the Bank.
No,
it's early enough where you would hear the rooster crowing.
Listen, that's so funny. It reminds me of Arrested Development that you just did that. Listen, I hope farmers are listening. I hope you guys are all able to relax on a beautiful Sunday. We get to sit back, take a look over the last 7 matches, all of them wins, 6 of them clean sheets, including yesterday. Hugo didn't have to do all that much out of the ordinary, but he did have to make a few saves. I guess Martin Paz likes to make me look bad every time I say he's just not that good of a keeper. He had, 10 saves on the night, I think, for Martin Paz. So good job, but you still lost. It just doesn't matter. And of course, Philly, the moment of the night was Matty Bogusz. It's all about the pass on that one because Denis is supposed to finish those kind of things. So Matty Bogusz, to me, with the moment of the night, that and the impromptu halftime show that some of us were treated to if you were in your seats.
Hold that thought. Don't say it. Hold that thought.
Yeah. Oh, no.
I'm going to address it in the second.
Oh, you weren't even there. You didn't see it. I saw it.
No matter. I'm still addressing it in the second half.
Either way, yeah, no, we'll talk about it at halftime. And props to the security guard that got drilled with that shot by Peter Musa. Didn't even turn around. Didn't even move. Just, all right, there you go. Martin Paz was actually pretty decent last night because, of course, I called him out on the podcast. Philly, episode 306, 7 straight wins heading into the break. But you and I started out our morning with a little bit of a different type of football atmosphere. Champions League and Philly, the rich, are only going to get much, much, much richer after winning Champions League.
Not necessarily, because as the saying goes, the Dortmund players and team are going to make more money because they lost. That was an unfortunate result for the Dortmund faithful, but a game not to be ashamed of. I was at Versthaus, off of La Brea, not too far from Pink's Hot Dog, watching the game. It was a big, big crowd there. Really, really cool. Didn't know if it'd be able to get in because we didn't have reservations, but it was a fun atmosphere. Nevertheless, Dortmund came out red hot within that first half, and it breaks my heart that they couldn't find the back of the net. And then, of course, Real Madrid did what Real Madrid does. I guess they absorb a little bit of pressure, and then all of a sudden the flickering of the switch, and then they just punish you time after time again. As I mentioned during the last pod, the only silver lining for me is that Toni Kroos ends things on a high note, but it would have been nice to see Dortmund win. It would have been their first Champions League final win since 1997, and it would have been the first time since the COVID year. Actually, no, 97 would have been the last time a German team not called Bayern won the Champions League. So, yeah, that's how the history goes. But it was a fun time. I learned another thing, Scarf. Don't mix Jaeger Schnitzel, Spätzle, German potato salad with creme brulee, cheesecake, and Nutella pudding while downing an Apfelsaftschorle, which is half seltzer, half apple juice, because it gives you the runs.
Thank you for the vivid detail. The creme brulee cheesecake is the part that stuck out. I would have that all day.
It was so good.
Oh, dude. Either way, I'll say this. I thought there were going to be some parallels between LAFC and FC Dallas in that Champions League match. LAFC doing everything they needed to in the first half to put a ball or two or three in the back of the net, but not able to. And I was just hoping that FC Dallas wouldn't figure things out at halftime the way that Real Madrid did. What I'm referencing, obviously, you're referencing the fact that the Borussia Dortmund players wound up making more money by losing than by winning Champions League, which is pretty shocking. What I'm referencing is one Kylian Mbappe likely going to be joining Real Madrid. All they did was win La Liga by several matches, then go out and win Champions League pretty handily if you look at the way that the scoreline wound up finishing out. And then, oh, by the way, they're getting Kylian Mbappe. Not a bad turn of events for Real Madrid. Kylian Mbappe, by the way, has been at LAFC to watch a match. So maybe towards the end of his career, he decides, all right, let me go to LA. Look, one name that I was certainly watching in that match was Luka Modric. I'm just going to float the rumor yet again. I would love to see Luka Modric in black and gold. There were some very fringe talk on the internet about Luka Modric being black and gold, and I think that would be incredible if we could get a player of that caliber. We obviously know Olivier Giroud is coming, and look, as much as I want Bobby Firmino to come on over from the Saudi League, it just doesn't look like that's going to happen. That was my guy, so I'll switch my attention to Luka Modric. Philly, Antoine Griezmann. I don't know. What are we thinking? Now we get to talk about things for 2 weeks. We get to troll around on the internet and see what rumors are being put out by agents or random journalists or, anybody who's trying to get some clicks. What do you think?
Yeah, we're going to have a silly season. That goes without saying. But I never like playing these speculative games because to me, it's just, I know there are a lot of people who enjoy the banter. Obviously, like Twitter explodes anytime these conversations occur. But to me, it's just a matter of agents kind of shifting things around, trying to spark interest, draw controversy, up bids for their clients. You never know who's going to end up here. I'm still shocked at some of the talent that we've seen come in and out of Major League Soccer just over the past couple of years. Not back in the day, but just more or less recently. The draw for a lot of these players, without a doubt, is the fact that they can lead some normal lives. Paparazzi isn't going to be up there, what. They can walk around like normal human beings, in particular in towns like Los Angeles or New York and Miami to a certain extent. It's a draw to come to Major League Soccer. The draw to Saudi is clearly the money. But I'll tell you this, Ronaldo is not a good enough reason for me to want to pay attention to the Saudi leagues. I want to see pretty good football. For anybody out there who thinks the Saudi Pro League is better than Major League Soccer, I don't know. Get those eyes examined. But it is a draw, and most of these players at some point in their lives would be foolish not to consider coming to the United States. You remember when Gareth Bale first landed in Los Angeles? There's a picture floating around the internet of him just shopping at Target.
Yeah,
that would never happen. Anywhere else because everybody would be all around him, paparazzi following his immediate step. In Los Angeles, I don't care if it is Ronaldo or Messi, people are going to know who they are, but there's also going to be a significant amount of people that have no clue who they are, and that's what's wild to me.
Are you telling me that you don't think Lionel Messi actually shops at Publix? Either way, look, I think
you mean staged shopping at Publix.
The other fun one, obviously, Philly, and by the way, rumors that Lucas Zelarayan is not happy where he was recently playing over there as well, and wants to come back to Columbus Crew, lead me to think about Columbus taking one on the chin for MLS yesterday, absolutely handled by Pachuca in Pachuca. And it just gives further credence to the strong program at Pachuca, one of the best academies in the world, obviously incredible talent on their Liga MX squad. They have been consistently one of the best clubs in Mexico, if not all of CONCACAF, over the last, I'll say, 8 years or so. One of Dave Denholm's favorite clubs on the planet as well. His favorite rivalry, he always says, is the Toluca-Pachuca rivalry. But Pachuca really putting one on Columbus Crew yesterday in the finals of the CONCACAF Champions Cup
Yeah,
League.
I don't know if I mean, the altitude. Look, Pachuca's a great club, without a doubt, in particular in the CONCACAF Champions League / Cup, whatever you want to call it. Last night, they won their 6th title. Only Club America has lifted that trophy more times than Pachuca. So obviously a history there. But you factor that in with the elevation, which is it is an absolute factor. 8,000 feet above sea level, like anybody is going to feel it, let alone running 90 minutes on a pitch. But I don't know if you heard the comments by, and I've seen this circulating around social media, their head coach, Wilfred Nancy, was stating the fact that the vast, like 20 people within the players and the staff suffered from diarrhea for over the course of 2 days. In fact, there are some players that hadn't even gotten to sleep as a result of being sick. And that to me comes as a shocking surprise. You want to talk? People get on Steve about making excuses about things, but I mean, diarrhea is certainly a different excuse that I feel like I haven't heard in a while. As people have said on social media, they definitely quote unquote family friendly pooped the bed in that Champions League Cup final.
Listen, any of you that have ever been to Mexico, Central America, and gone on, I don't know, a taco tasting or a food run or something, and then you wind up not knowing that you're not supposed to eat the salsas off the cart because those are the ones that have been sitting out for a couple days, not the tacos themselves or the meat. One thing I am very, very aware of, Philly, is that Montezuma's Revenge is undefeated. It does not lose. And unfortunately for these guys from, I don't know, beautiful Columbus, Ohio, probably not spending a lot of time eating the foods of Mexico down there, probably enjoyed themselves, a nice dinner, maybe out on the town, something, and it caught them unawares. Unfortunately, I feel terrible. I've been there. I was there on my last trip down to Puerto Vallarta. We did a taco tasting tour, and no one told me not to eat the sauces, the salsas, and all of that stuff. Apparently, that's a thing. But either way, look, it was a thing. Unfortunately for Columbus, 3-0, the loss there kind of puts a damper on what was an incredible run. I said if they won the title, and Philly, you and I both agreed on this one, if they won the CONCACAF Champions Cup title, that they would be the single greatest team in Major League Soccer history, having won MLS Cup and then having gone down there and beaten Mexican teams in Mexico to then go and win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. They would have been the best team, in my opinion, of all time in Major League Soccer. And I think, kudos to them. They had a great run, but unfortunately between Rondon and Miguel Rodriguez kind of shutting the door, and congrats to Pachuca. Philly, episode 306, just want to throw this out there. Episode 306 is the area code of one Saskatchewan, Canada. Lots of great soccer players coming out of there, but also one of my favorite actors of all time, comedic actor, genius, icon, rest in peace, Leslie Nielsen. Saskatchewan's favored son, as they like to say. So area code 306, Saskatchewan. Shall we get into all of the particulars, Philly?
Yeah, let's do that as I wait for this caffeine to kick in.
All right, you guys know what we like to do here on Defenders of the Bank Lord. This day in LAFC history, we do have a couple of news and notes, and then we will get into the recap of the 7th straight win for LAFC, an incredible streak, and one that we're hoping continues after the 2-week break. First, this day in LAFC history, of course, the match played on June 1st. And on June 1st, 2019, LAFC defeating the Portland Timbers 3-2 in the first game at the newly remodeled Providence Park. Philly, we were all up there for this one, and it was a really, really fun experience. Philly, I don't remember who they were playing. Do you remember? Because that was also the day of the Champions League final. Tottenham and Rich's boys, Tottenham Hotspur, wound up losing the final. Was it to Chelsea or who was it? I don't remember.
Liverpool.
Liverpool. Thank you. Liverpool. Tottenham falling to Liverpool on the Champions League.
2019 was definitely Tottenham Liverpool.
Yeah, Tottenham Liverpool. And I remember Rich was just so excited because Tottenham was playing in the final and he was really talking some smack. And then very early on, right? They gave up a goal super early in the match. And then from then on, we just got to watch Rich pout as we were all hanging out together. It was an incredible time up in Portland, the newly remodeled Providence Park. 3 goals, obviously, for LAFC in the 3-2 win. Carlos Vela, Diego Rossi, Latif Blessing. Goodness, that sounds like a greatest hits record of LAFC. Carlos Vela's goal in that match, by the way, was his 16th already of the MLS season. The same number, I believe, Philly, that one Chicho Arango has at this point in the season.
We'll talk about him later.
Oh, my goodness. But Carlos Vela already with 16 goals on the season in 2019. And that at the time was the record for Mexican-born players in Major League Soccer. So that's your this day in LAFC history. 3-2.
Fun day, Scarf. You know what I vividly remember about that day? Obviously getting packed like a sardine, taking forever. I remember doing shoeys of IPA with El Catrin, which, by the way, doing a shoey with an IPA is just not a good idea. Yeah. But the thing that I remember the most, when you left Providence Park, and if you would have walked out on the visitor side to the left, there was a hill that you had to climb in order to get back to where we were. And that's when we ran into Will Ferrell, and we were just having a chat with him. I remember saying to him, I remember thinking, geez, how tall he is, but saying to him, thank you for being more of a hands-on owner than some of the other owners that we had. It's nice to see. And he said, you're welcome. And then it was a quick little dialogue, very pleasant one. Will Ferrell, obviously a very hands-on owner with LAFC at games when he's not filming, unlike some of the previous owners in the past that were losers and deadbeats like Tony Robbins.
Oh, my goodness, he's still on it. By the way, I'm just going to say, since you brought up Will Ferrell, just real quick, just want to thank LAFC for yesterday. That was a lot of fun.
That was a memorable experience, one that will hold forever in our memories and hearts. It's just, I do want to say some things like as a kind of wrap up like our experience yesterday, but remind me to do that later.
All right, sounds good. Let's get into some news and notes. Congrats! I'm telling you, he's gonna be a thing for LAFC soon. Congrats to Luca Bombino, called in to the U.S. men's national team under 19 camp. I've said it. He's my pick for the next LAFC 2 player to get a first-team contract. He's been called in, and he gets to do some cool stuff, man. These under 19 kids. It's the final training camp before the 2024 CONCACAF Under 20 Championship. He gets to go play in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Montevideo, Uruguay. I am really jealous. This kid, over the course of most kids' summers, they get to go, I don't know, to the zoo and maybe go see a Dodger game. He's going to see Buenos Aires, Argentina, and Montevideo, Uruguay. They play in Argentina on June 7th and then in Uruguay on June 11th. I'll be keeping an eye on what the U19s are doing over our break. Congratulations to Luca Bombino on the call-up. I do want to remind everybody that LAFC 2, you're listening to this Sunday, June 2nd, 7 p.m. They've got a match today against North Texas FC. I don't know. North Texas, they are number 1 in MLS Next Pro's Western Division, or Group B, or whatever it's called. And we're number 2. So it's a nice matchup there of 1 versus 2. And then Angel City, their next match is not until Saturday, June 8th. At Gotham FC, breakfast with Angel City, 9:30 in the morning on Saturday, June 8th. We've got a break, so there's no LAFC game going on, so maybe check out the ladies over at Angel City FC. That's it for news and notes. Philly, FC Dallas coming into town, and you mentioned it. It was nice to be able to talk about FC Dallas, a team we haven't talked about yet this season.
Yeah, we talked about Minnesota twice already. FC Dallas, a club that came into the match yesterday in 12th place in the Western Conference. Not very good. 3 wins, 7 losses, 4 ties. A team abysmal on the road, an 0-5-2 record, but a team that really suffered the injury bug. We alluded to it on the preview show, One More Sleep, the day before, where there's 16 players from FC Dallas that missed a grand total of nearly 70 games. So perhaps the story has yet to unfold itself for Nico Estevez and company. We know Jesus Ferreira missed quite a few games. Ferreira, one of the shining stars of Major League Soccer and a damn good player. At 23 years of age and change, he became the youngest player in Major League Soccer history to reach 50 goals. And FC Dallas's all-time homegrown leader in terms of appearances. He was fun to watch. good players, and we saw the likes of Petar Musa with a couple of shots. He almost did an impression of Chicho Arango. More on that later. But FC Dallas, a team that, like a lot of the Texas teams, gives us a problem when we go into the Lone Star State. But FC Dallas, winless in their appearances in Los Angeles. We outscored them in all those games by a margin of 9-2. We would extend that. Spoiler alert, if you were at the game, you would know that's the case. But not a team that operating on and firing on all cylinders. Not a lot of confidence. They just lost the game to the Galaxy on Wednesday, the day before, 3-1. So a game that I was expecting more fireworks from the play on the field, not so much the atmosphere. The atmosphere, by the way, at BMO Stadium was incredible for Pride Night. The fireworks with the rainbow colors, that was really cool. Caught a good picture of that. But FC Dallas, not a team necessarily one to worry about, but they did give us a fair amount of things to think about.
Yeah, you mentioned it, Philly. Coming in 12th in the West, just 3 wins on the season through 14 matches, just 17 goals scored through 14 matches. This is a team that is, as the teacher, I'll give them a grade. It's a giant I. It's an incomplete with no Paxton Pomykal, no Alan Velasco, who he was supposed to be a huge part of this offense. Imagine Petar Musa, Jesus Ferreira, and Alan Velasco on the front line. That is a very formidable attack for FC Dallas. Pomykal in the midfield is somebody who has been a mainstay there for the better part of a decade now, it seems like. And then also out was Nikosai Tafari. He is a huge part of their defensive shape. And when you have to plug in the likes of Omar Gonzalez, who is old and not very dynamic anymore, it's got to make things
talking about me.
It's got to make things a little bit tougher for Nico Emilio Estevez. But fortunately for him, he came into a place, right? We talked about it, 4-0-1 against FC Dallas at home. It would now be 5-0-1. And our boys were on a hot streak. But what Steve Cherundolo talked about after the last match and before this one, and definitely in the press conference after this one, is that the guys are also tired. It's not just physical fatigue, it's mental fatigue over 90 minutes plus, doing everything that they needed to do to keep clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet. And Aaron Long said it best coming into the match. They were just ready to play 90 more minutes to finish this thing out, to keep the clean sheet, to keep the win streak going, all of it. And luckily for LAFC, and I say luckily because I think we did get a little lucky in this match, although so did FC Dallas. But I think we did get a little lucky, but making a 1-0 effort stand up yet again, Philly, is just a testament to who this team is and how this team is playing right now.
I agree. Let's get into starting lineups and let's repackage this recap.
All right, Nico Estevez, the head man, drawing up a 3-4-2-1 for FC Dallas. Look, I called him out, and then he had, 9 or 10 saves. So good on you, Martin Pass, the goalkeeper for FC Dallas. Their back line of 3 consisting of Sam Junkwa, Omar Gonzalez, and, of course, former fan favorite Sebastian Ibeagha, who, he absolutely trucked couple of people yesterday. He likes playing against LAFC at LAFC. I think he misses it here a little bit. A player who Philly is a giant supporter of would be midfielder Marco Farfan.
Far from a fan of Marco.
I absolutely loved that we got to play against Asier Ramendi. Good Lord, that's fun for me to say. Ramendi. He actually played with Carlos Vela at Real Sociedad back in the day in 2011, 12, 13. And then he went on, of course, to play for Real Madrid on the day that Real Madrid wins the Champions League. So I thought it was cool that Iramendi was there at BMO. We got to watch him play. Didn't see a whole ton from him, if I'm really being honest. The other midfielders, Liam Fraser and Emma Tuamasi. And on the front line, Jesus Ferreira, Patrickson Delgado, and Petar Musa, FC Dallas's club record signing for well over $9 million in a signing that could go up to as much as $13 million, depending on his performance. he's the only bright spot as far as I was really concerned. If you go back and watch the highlights, but even if you watch the entire match, a really tall, big, assertive center forward who, Philly, you and I really enjoyed watching in that match. Peter Musa, he's a true number 9 in every sense of the word and was a lot of fun to watch. The 5 that would come into the match at some point for FC Dallas, the third areola of the night would be Paul, Sebastian Lletget, Bernard Kamungo, Logan Farrington, and Dante Sealy. And that is the 18. Philly, LAFC.
Supposedly, the average height for a striker is a whopping 5'11", and Musa, by no means was 5'11". You want that out of your striker, a big, tall presence. As he stood alongside Aaron Long, you really got to see how big this kid is. Not that Aaron Long is a giant, but Aaron Long's certainly one of the taller players on LAFC. And speaking of LAFC, your starting lineup, they came out in a 4-3-3, going back to OG formation status. Hugo Lloris, who really didn't get any action until the second half, starting in between the pipes, and continuing on with that shutout streak, putting Tyler Miller's record way, way behind him, much to the joy of a big listener of this podcast. Thank you, by the way. Our back line, Sergi Palencia, Aaron Long, Maxime Chanot, Omar Campos. The surprising factor, and Scarf, you and I talked about this the other day, against his former club, no Ryan Hollingshead in the starting lineup, which is a surprise. Also, no Jesus David Murillo operating in that center back position, which I thought was kind of odd too, considering that he would have been competing in what was his 100th MLS or making his 100th MLS appearance. More on that later. In the midfield, Timothy Tillman, who still has not gone yet to U.S. men's training camp, but at this point, obviously, will be on a plane heading over to Washington, D.C. Ilie Sanchez, who put in a great shift over 90 minutes, and I would say from a statistical point of view, had a great game, as did Edward Atuesta. If you look at some of his stats, I see Celso there in the chat, our good friend, from the Voices of the Black and Gold podcast. He mentioned that Atuesta had a 90% passing accuracy, several touches. He played a good game. Scarf, get back on the Edward wagon. And then up top, Kike Oliveira, Matty Bogusz, who's just been on fire as of late, and Denis Bouanga, who continues to dominate. That is your starting lineup for the Black and Gold. As far as players that would make an appearance in the game, we would see the likes of Jesus David Murillo, Ryan Hollingshead, and Kai Kamara. I don't recall if there was anybody else that subbed into the game, but the other players that were wearing their little bibs and on the bench, Tomas Angel, Kai Kamara, Abraham Romero as our backup keeper, Eddie Segura, Tommy Musto, Eric Duenas, and Nathan Ordaz.
Yeah, look, it was a compact lineup for a lineup that Steve was saying was very fatigued. I think that the 1-0 scoreline forced him to keep things a little more compact than he would have liked. Had we converted on any of the couple of chances that you and I are about to talk about in the first half, this might have been a very different affair for sure. But that being said, look, it's a 1-0 game. We're here on a 7-match win streak. We all probably need a little bit of a break after this. So Philly and I have decided to really boil down just the key moments. We like to talk about some of the little things that you might not see if you weren't at the game. There really weren't that many of them, if we're being completely honest, in this match. But the match certainly started out an incredible tifo, a wonderful rendition of the national anthem by one of the members of the LA Gay Men's Chorus, who I've had some good friends in that chorus over the years, so it was really cool to see them represented. They've come out a couple of times to BMO Stadium to do some things. Pride was definitely on full display, and of course, we here at Defenders were more than happy to be allies with the community. If you ever have a chance to sit down with any of the members of Pride Republic, just the sweetest group of individuals, really committed to this club. Also, I mean, Luke Clip does a wonderful job on his podcast, LGBTFC. You guys should check that out. I've actually been a guest on it once. And Philly, you got to get on there too. But just incredible to see the support for Pride before the match, during the match, after the match. Philly, you actually stuck around. I'm a communist because apparently I don't like I don't like fireworks,
What?
people. I don't like fireworks. I don't like large
Oh,
explosions.
that's
above my
right.
head.
You dislike America. That's
I
true.
right. I don't like fireworks. When my parents used to take me to Disneyland, they used to be the happiest group of parents at the end of the day. Everyone's been walking around for hours miserable because their kid wants to stay for 5 more minutes to go watch the fireworks show. Not me. After the Main Street Electrical Parade, we booked it out of there because I didn't want to be anywhere near those damn fireworks. I don't like fireworks.
Do
So
fireworks give you Montezuma's revenge?
no. Those are two very different things. Fireworks should not give you Montezuma's revenge. But I was in the press conference about, I don't know, a half hour early just so I could avoid all the fireworks. But I did
It
go
was
out.
awesome. Look, oh, it was so cool. I went live just because of you.
I know, but
I don't know where you were, and
our,
then Instagram cut us off because
yeah,
apparently the copywritten music algorithm was triggered by IG, and they stopped our live video. I
they
thought,
did.
what the heck is going on? This has never happened to me. And then you pointed out the fact that Instagram cut it because of the copyright issue. It was a brilliant firework display. And I think I
Yeah,
have a snippet of it, but I'm not going to go back on and put it if
right.
Instagram's going to remove it.
Well, I did go out for a little bit because everybody was saying how cool the laser show part of it
It
was.
was
And
super cool, Scar.
well, and oddly enough, the laser show part that I saw did not include any fireworks. So it was great. I went out for about a couple of minutes, watched the lasers, came back. It was really
The
cool.
lasers. Nobody said that in Los Angeles since the 80s.
I know, right? But listen, it was a fun match. 1-0, tightly contested, and really the first action doesn't really even happen until about the 12th minute when Denis Bouanga just making sure that Martin Paz is awake and paying attention with his 12th minute shot from the left side. But Philly, 21 minutes in, we absolutely should have been up 1-0. A rare misstep from Matty Bogusz in this one.
Now, I agree. Just going back to it, Denny cooked the Tuamasi. Am I saying it right?
Yep, Tumasi. Yep.
Yeah, he cooked him going in on that drive. But yeah, it was in the 21st minute. It was a brilliant buildup, and somebody who doesn't get a lot of praise for creating some of these maneuvers and some of these counters is Sergi Palencia. Sergi Palencia has been passing the ball exceptionally well. He goes over to Kike, who's on the run, and he connects with Matty Bogusz, who is just ever so wide. And at that point, between Denny's attempt in the 12th minute and then this one here in the 21st, where knocking on Paz's door. I. Caffeine's working now. Good.
Someone please cut that and send that to me, please, someone, anyone.
No.
In the 27th minute, Denis says hello again from distance, making sure Martin Paz gets his save total up, and Scarf looks even worse as the episode rolls on for talking smack about Martin Paz. And then in the 34th minute, Philly, it was Matty Bogusz's turn from distance, another solid save, but this one right at Martin Paz. And then Philly, now it should be 2-0 because off the ensuing corner kick, I mean, you cannot play a better ball. The corner kick goes to Denis Bouanga inside the box for the header, and the ball finds the foot of Timothy Tillman, and Timmy kind of whiffs on it, if we're being honest. Didn't get much on it, pushed it to the left of goal, didn't even get it on frame. Philly, I really thought we should be at least up 1, if not 2, now 34 minutes into the match.
You're right. I just think the way Timmy was positioned, it came off his right foot, but the way his body was positioned, he just didn't have the proper angle. It was a nice kick in by Matty Bogusz and the wherewithal for Denis Bouanga to head it into Tillman, but Tillman just didn't have his body pointed in the direction that he did. If he would have been that slight turn to the right, he would have had a better angle on it. He didn't go off of his non-dominant foot, so it went off the proper way. He wasn't positioned enough. And this in the 29th, just real quick, nothing occurred there, but I was very much impressed with the passing of Maxime Chanot as well. The defenders playing the ball really well between Palencia, Chanot, so on and so forth. He had a gorgeous pass to a sprinting Matty Bogusz. There was no opportunity there because old man Gonzalez was there to successfully track back, but our defenders creating a lot of really good momentum, starting things from either in our defensive end of the pitch or in midfield. It was really, really cool to see some of that stuff. You had a minute worth of stoppage time, and really that's just how the half is going to end. We were far more threatening in the first half, much like Dortmund was in the Champions League match, but by no means playing a team that talented like a Real Madrid. FC Dallas, not really a talented team at all. But within the first half, 12 shots, man. 5 of them being on target. So the guy that you said you don't like, Martin Paes, had a pretty good game. You need to stop saying these because he's an example of a couple of players that you say, he's not very good. And then all of a sudden, like these guys come out to have really big games.
It's usually the keepers too, right? Zach McMath, Martin Paes.
Yeah, Zach McMath is the player I was thinking of. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah,
he did hit the woodwork once, according to some of the statistics, though. I don't recall which stat that could have been. It might have been the shot that went upper right corner that Denny was trying to. I think it was Denny's shot, right? Yeah, the one that went upper corner.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking second half. I'm sorry, within the first half. So I guess these FOTMOB stats are a little on the inaccurate side, but possession more or less 50-50 at that point. But LAFC, their passing accuracy during this streak has improved exponentially from the beginning of the season. We'd have certain matches where, you have like 70% passing accuracy. And I'm not even talking about the snow game that we had dealt with. They have improved, and the chemistry between everybody seems to have improved vastly. And I really do feel like we're playing more like a team today.
No, look, the trust that we have in each other is pretty incredible. The way that we're positioning ourselves, team defending, you cannot look at this roster like we could so many times last year and say, thank God for Denis scoring all the goals. Thank God for Giorgio heading everything away and out of the box. It's not just a 1 or 2 man game. It has been an entire team defending and an entire team contributing. We know we only have 6 different goal scorers in Major League Soccer play, but the fact that we've had so many players come together on some of these goals have been a huge thing for us. I think that even Steve Cherundolo talked about it in the press conference. It's not really a matter of who is scoring or how many different players are scoring. It's a matter of players just continuing to put themselves in that position. And we have been. The team defending has been wonderful. Omar, thank you. But what I'm really looking forward to, Philly, is these guys getting a little bit of a break and then seeing how they can regenerate the momentum after that. Speaking of a break, after the halftime break, FC Dallas's first real effort didn't come until about the 49th minute. I don't think they were really at all knocking on any door in the first half, but that second half, 4 minutes in, Jesus Ferreira to Paul Arriola. Pause. Halftime. If you weren't watching, that poor young lady is going to get a season ban from what we understand. I have been to many sporting events, and I was just shocked that at halftime, the effort from Paul Arriola would be only the 3rd best of any Arriola efforts that I had seen during the match.
Dang it, he took the joke away. Dang it.
Sorry.
There you go again. Not only the stats, he takes the good jokes too. Damn you.
I saw it, and there was a kid in front of me that saw it, and all of a sudden on the jumbo screen, he and I both looked at each other right away, like as if to say, like, did you see what I saw? Because I think I saw what you saw, and you think you saw what I saw. We all just kind of stopped for a minute, and then the second half started, Philly.
Yeah, who would have thought we would have saw 3 Arriolas at the start of the second half? I missed it though. You brought up. I thought it might have been like a TikTok challenge thing or something because I noticed it for the Stanley Cup playoffs. There was a woman wearing an Edmonton Oilers jersey that did the same thing too. So I didn't know if this was like a thing going on. I don't have TikTok. I don't understand challenges. Hell, I don't understand why the hell people were eating Tide Pods back in the day. There's certain things that just go way over my head, and in a lot of cases, I'm happy. But true to your point, we got this from a very reliable source. That young lady will not be coming back to BMO Stadium, at least not, anything other than incognito. So they definitely want to deter that kind of behavior moving forward. And, we'll just sort of leave it there on this family-friendly podcast.
Yeah. Peter Musa from distance in the 54th minute. I don't know if Max Bretos was trying to be funny on the broadcast or what, but he said he thought
was trying to be funny.
Well, he said he thought
Love
the
that guy,
shot
by the way.
drilled the stanchion or the wall behind the goal. No. There was a security guard wearing a giant yellow jacket, and that ball drilled him in the left arm. Didn't even turn around, didn't even move. No big deal. Peter Musa just rockets one from distance off the security guard, and just the fortitude, the courage, the statuesque like manner in which this security guard took it. Congratulations, you got my vote for security guard of the match. And then Philly.
Yeah, dude, it clearly wasn't the first time that's occurred.
Yeah.
Because I thought he didn't get hit. I thought it might have bounced off of the off the back the screens.
Right.
He didn't move. I was shocked at how he didn't move. If that would have been you or I, easily would have just darted our head, tucked it in like a turtle goes back into its shell. I was blown away that he did not flinch.
Yeah, the scoreline didn't move after the 61st minute either, as LAFC gets a corner. Omar Campos taking it very, very well. Beautiful back post ball to Denis Bouanga, but Denis couldn't get it down. It was hit well over the crossbar. But our third solid chance of the match, Philly, and you're kind of thinking, okay, we're still not converting on some of these chances. We had a couple of shots from distance between Maxime Chanot and Edward Atuesta in the 65th and 68th minute. And then Philly, we get lucky, honestly, in the 71st minute that your favorite player, Marco Farfan, doesn't tie things up.
I don't like Marco Farfan. And I'm not going to talk about Marco Farfan. And I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna take the 73rd minute if you don't mind.
All right, I will talk about Marco Farfan in the 71st minute. Jesus Ferreira, by the way, doing his best Denis Bouanga impression in that Denis with all these assists lately. Jesus was looking to get in on the assist party. It was he that made the first real good pass to Paul Arriola, where Hugo has to make that diving stop in the 49th minute for his first save. And it was Jesus Ferreira again to Marco Farfan on the left. And Farfan, again, I think actually, if you go back to Philly's description of why Timothy Tillman really couldn't get a lot on the shot and kind of pushed it wide, I think it's much of the same with what happened with Marco Farfan. Just couldn't get his body around on the ball, pushed it well to the left of the keeper. But it was one of those where it was like, man, Dallas wasn't trying to generate. And actually, Roberto Hernandez says it perfectly right here. I'll put his comment up where he says, it was a weird game. Dallas came to park the bus. They absolutely did. And we're really looking to just maybe kind of half counter much of the time. But it was a nervy moment, Philly. And in a 0-0 match, at least for now, in a 0-0 match, we're thinking like, all right, we've let this team hang around. And now we're 70 plus minutes in. I'm really hoping that Dallas doesn't find a way to sneak one in behind us, ending the shutout streak, ending the win streak. But Philly, Matty Boger says, not so fast, my friends.
You are absolutely right. And you bring up a very good point, by the way, with Dallas. They have been a second half team all season long. You mentioned at the top of the podcast that they had 17 goals for, where 11 of those did come by way of the second half. So a team much better offensively in the second half. A team, by the way, that also finds themselves in games when they don't concede first. When they do concede first, this is a team that is almost going to crumble and fall. 1-6-1 over the course of Major League Soccer. So these are a couple of points to bring up as we hammer home the idea of LAFC scoring a goal. And a brilliant buildup starts again with Maxime Chanot, a defender, on the right side of the midfield. Centers his pass into Ilie, pushes it forward to Matty Bogusz. Then Denis making a great run, leaving his defender back in Frisco, Texas, enabling Denis to go 1v1 with Martin Paz, and he slots home his 10th goal of the season. The connection, the connectivity, the chemistry, the ball movement between the forwards has been exceptional. Whether it be Denis going to Oliveira, whether it be Matty going to Denis, or vice versa, the forwards are combining and connecting for so many goals. Matty has his third assist of the season. Denis has his 10th goal, and we are throwing beers up in the air. We finally get something to cheer for. We were feeling pretty darn good because now with the history that Dallas has, we can go off to the races. I predicted a 3-0 result. Scott predicted a 2-0 result. Your exact words to me after Denis' goal was the floodgates are open, watch them score another one immediately. But it didn't happen.
It didn't happen, unfortunately. But Philly, you're absolutely right. The pass was really what set everything apart. And what was interesting is, was it Maddie that talked about it? No, it was Denis, I think, in the press conference, right?
Yeah, Maddie was not in the presser.
Yeah, no, Denis said that at halftime, Matty Bogusz and Denis Bouanga came together, and I'm assuming they let Kike Oliveira in on this conversation too, and said, hey, look, they're giving some space in between the center defenders. And so Denis said he just knew he had to make the run because Matty was going to make the pass. They had actually discussed it at halftime that there would be an opening in that portion of the field. So it was really cool to see these guys kind of drawing it up on their own. I mean, I'm sure the coaching staff probably mentioned something about it, but no, Denis said he and Matty talked about it at halftime, and then to put it into action the way that they did in the 74th minute, amazing. Denis Bouanga on the score sheet, trying to keep up with Chicho Arango. I don't know. But either way, a beautiful goal, a beautiful play. Denis trying from distance again in the 77th minute, but another easy save for Martin Paz. And the 81st minute, man, Edward Atuesta with a good corner to Maxime Chanot, easily taken by Paz, but another good ball. I'm saying something nice about Edward Atuesta. He had a great corner kick there. And then Philly, to be perfectly honest, after that in the 81st minute, FC Dallas kind of turned it up a notch a little bit, had many of the last great chances, or at least decent chances of the match, and kudos to LAFC for being able to see this one out, but especially that final chance. I'm telling you, Philly, I thought that FC Dallas was really coming after they finally kind of pushed forward for the first time all match.
Yeah, Musa tried to do his best Chicho Arango impression on the day. I'll explain that in just a second. He shoots him right around midfield, and Hugo Lloris has to track back, and he taps it over the top of the crossbar, which was a scary moment, considering what happened earlier in the day. Go back, if you hadn't seen it, go back to watch the highlights of the Real Salt Lake game. Chicho hit a rocket of a shot, beating Brad Stuver from 62 yards. That's going to go down as the goal of the season. Very David Beckham-esque from his times at Manchester United. The buildup that Chicho had, casually walking through and just firing it away, was amazing. And luckily for us, Musa tried to replicate that too. I don't know if he saw the replay, but Lloris was smart enough to track back there. That would have been such an embarrassing scenario for LAFC, in a horrible way to concede a goal at home against a team that never has really scored much in BMO Stadium historically. But that was, without a doubt, one of their best attempts all afternoon. There would be another play within the 90th minute where you had Sebastian Lletget de Boy, who gets a brilliant round of booze from the Black and Gold Brigade, by the way. He gets across into the 18 that Musa ends up heading into Hugo Lloris, and there he is to make another save. We have about 3 minutes worth of stoppage. I don't know if there was anything that you picked up on that FC Dallas really did, but those were two of the final and good attempts that FC Dallas had. Musa might have been a rock star on the evening, but he was denied. He was fun to watch at times, but it was more fun to kick the crap out of FC Dallas and send them back to Frisco.
Yeah, Peter Musa, I mean, look, I think it all came down to that moment in the 90th, right? As that beautiful pass into him for the header in the box. If he puts it anywhere other than right at Hugo, we would be talking about this match a little bit differently. Imagine going into a 2-week break, giving up a goal in the 90th minute to concede 2 points to FC Dallas. It kind of changes the whole tenor of how we felt about the May, the string of victories that we had, maybe starting off June, not so great, then having to go on the road for your first 2 matches against Orlando and Austin. You know, it really does dampen the tenor, but LAFC did not concede. LAFC keeping the shutout streak alive. Now, what is it? 575 minutes in all competitions, 481 minutes in MLS competitions. LAFC doing absolutely everything that they needed to do. I mean, look, 7 straight victories. That is all you can ask of a club. And now we have 2 weeks off. Philly, LAFC now second in the West, 9-4-3, and we are up over the 30-point plateau. Only a handful of teams, by the way, with 30 points. In fact, we'll look at the Supporter Shield standings in just a second, but just want to point out to everybody, after the incredibly slow start that we went through at the start of this season, only 6 teams in MLS have now scored more goals than we have, and only 6 teams in MLS have now given up as few goals or fewer than we have. We are putting it together at the right time. We are getting points off of teams that we should be getting points off of, and I think we're beating teams that are very, very good teams in very tough positions. I just really like where this team is trending right now.
I agree, and it's a team effort. Without a doubt, it's a collective team effort. Now, granted, when Denny gets involved, obviously we're great because we're 8-0-1 this season when Denny has a goal or an assist. But Matty Bogusz has come on strong as of late. He got the assist to Denny Bouanga, and now he's scored either a goal or an assist in the last 5 of LAFC's game during the winning streak. He had 3 goals and 2 assists over that. Now he's got 6 and 3. He set his record for most goals earlier. He's about 1 assist shy from tying his highest season-wise, so he's doing really well. We talked about Jesus David Murillo. He did end up coming on later in the game, late within the second half. He made his 100th regular season appearance, which is pretty cool, and a very, very admirable milestone to go 100 games. And he's been a big part of our history. He's been up and down as of late. And there are times where he just makes me more nervous than anybody else on the pitch. But congratulations to him. We've looked good this entire stretch. The number 7 is a fantastic day. It's a fantastic number because it has so many mystical, magical powers to it. There's 7 up. There's the 7th day of rest. There's Mesopotamians believed in it. The Babylonians believed in it. And you know what my favorite number 7 of all time is, Scarf?
Latif Blessing?
Eric Cantona. Just had to throw that out there. I was thinking of things that make me smile with the number 7, and it's not 7 Up because I don't drink it, but this jersey, this Eric Cantona jersey, that's my favorite number 7.
All right, I'm calling out Michael Probierz, and I'm calling out the Bialo Czerwoni. I'm calling you out, Polish national team, the White Reds. I'm calling you guys out. There is no reason not to call in Matty Bogusz during your next camp. I don't care what the camp is for, even if it's just for roasting marshmallows over a campfire. Call Matty Bogusz in. He is doing anything and everything that this club asks of us. He would love to be called in. He's talked about it. And when I asked him, or when someone asked him, actually, I think it was, who was it that asked? Oh, it's going to kill me. Either way, somebody else other than myself asked about it at the press conference. He said he has not heard at all from this current coaching staff about being called in to the Polish national team.
You asked that question.
No. It wasn't me. I think it was Scott in front that asked that question about has he heard from this particular group. I asked about wanting to be called in, but he asked if he's heard anything, and he said no to him. Let's take a very quick look because we're actually moving up in the Supporter Shield standings, Philly. 16 matches in. We are now 4th in points, just 5 back of Miami. We were just 7 back. Now we're 5, but we have 2 matches in hand. Philly, we are now 4th in points per match with 1.88. The Supporter Shield not quite in our hands to lose in terms of points and games back and things like that. But Philly, this is certainly something 16 matches in that we can start to take a look at. Whereas 4 weeks ago or so, we were 15th, 16th, 18th in Supporter Shield standings at different points and not looking nearly as well. So Philly, absolutely incredible run by this club. Clearly something that we didn't see coming after the San Jose match. We still are it's still nervous time every now and then on set pieces. When we don't score on some of these early opportunities, I still feel a little bit of agita, as my grandmother, as Mima would say. But either way, Philly, we can't ask for anything more from this club than what we saw over the last 7 matches.
The saying goes, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. No doubt, this journey right now has been a lot of fun, and I'm proud of this club. So proud. I mean, appreciate all the hard work done and given, and the interest, the hands-on effort by the owners, in particular Bennett Rosenthal, who's more hands-on this season. Larry Berg was that a couple of years ago. Now Bennett's going to be a big part of that. Bennett Rosenthal, appreciate him, his kindness, and also his willingness to always chat with knuckleheads like you and I. Our front office taking care of a lot of things. Big shout out to Larry Friedman, Stacey Johns as well. Just such tremendous people there. The coaching staff. Shout out to Mark Dos Santos, who literally scared the you-know-what out of us banging on the window at the presser last night. And, of course, the players. The players have gelled together, and it's just like Genuine Cougar says. I asked the question to Steve in the press conference as to whether or not he feels that this season's team operates more as a unit than last season, and he gave a pretty cool response saying, players obviously have picked up and gotten different jobs, and people are adapting to it, but this, without a doubt, is a team. Sure, we have our superstars, but we have other players out there giving it their all, putting on tremendous individual performances. And that's why we are where we are. Then he could go out on a tear and score as many goals as Chicho Arango has, 16, by the way. And we could just concede consistently like we had been early on in the season within set pieces. We've battened down the hatches. We've started to play much better. Our defenders are very much involved in the offensive flow of things, as they have, but they've been a lot crisper on their passing. The passing from the midfield has been a lot more fluid, and the chemistry among the forwards has also been very evident. No surprise to me that our team is operating on all cylinders, and it's just a really, really good time at LAFC. So let's enjoy it while we can. There's still plenty of football to be had. I know you like to talk about the Supporters Shield right now, and being just a few points behind Miami is really cool, like you said, considering where we were to start the year. But now's the time for us to take a break, a deep breath, get a sigh of relief, chillax for a couple of weeks. There's an event that you have to go to on the 16th, I'll mention momentarily. And then we get back to it as we head into the land of Mickey Mouse, heading into Orlando City on June the 15th, where we're going to have to fight Orlando City and that Floridian humidity.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick shout out to number 18, the legend, Darryl Strawberry, got his number retired. Philly and I are both diehard Mets fans. Philly was able to be at the Doc Gooden retirement ceremony game, which is pretty cool. I wanted to, I just couldn't swing it, couldn't afford it to get out there for the Darryl Strawberry one. But look, we're both Mets fans. Darryl Strawberry, by the way, huge connection here to Los Angeles, obviously, born and raised in the LA area. So just want to give a quick shout out to number 18, Darryl Strawberry. There were a lot of people that didn't think that either Doc nor Darryl would be alive if they ever got their number retired, if any of this stuff happened. But shout out to Darryl. Philly, you got to plug an event, and then we got to shut this down, episode 306.
Yep, June 16th, Father's Day. For those looking for a gift for their fathers or whatever, if you're a big fan of football, then obviously you're a big fan of the names Ronaldinho and Kaká. Why do I mention this? Because those two players are going to be competing in the Game of Legends at Toyota Arena on June 16th. I believe it's at 4 p.m. I'm very much involved in this game. I'll explain more later. Scarf is potentially going to be very much involved in it as well. There are tickets available. The rosters are going to be announced. I already know who they are. There's going to be a lot of really good players, celebrities, influencers. It's going to be a fun moment. They're playing indoors, Major Arena Soccer League style rules at Toyota Arena, similar to that of the Empire Strikers, the team in the MASL that me and Jonathan Reimer and Panda call games for. Scarf occasionally doing the PA. We hope that he does more of that in this upcoming season or down the road. But check it out. When can we say we'll ever get to see Ronaldinho play in any kind of a competitive event and Kaká under the same roof or surrounded by the same four walls? Check it out. June 16th. Tickets are available on Ticketmaster. We'll be plugging it and promoting it on Defenders, on the social medias, and of course on my personal ones. And by the way, if you don't follow Defenders, we're there at Defenders of the Bank on Instagram, at Defend the Bank on Twitter. Obviously, Facebook is there. We don't really use that whatsoever. But check us out. And don't forget also, head on over to the defendersofthebank.com website. Hit up the shop. Check out the amazing merch that 500 Level has created for us. It's cool stuff. And Roberto Hernandez, the Rangers lost. I am thrilled about that as an Islander fan. One of the biggest collapses other than what Boston did last season to occur recently in the NHL. They're sticking around with 4 Stanley Cups, as are the Islanders. So all things are well in the world of hockey.
And you know how we like to end each of these episodes, 306 of them strong. Thank you all for joining us. Everybody in the chat, we love you all so much. You were incredible today. You are always incredible. To everybody watching on YouTube, to everybody watching on Twitter and on Instagram as well, Instagram Live, thank you all so much. We love you guys, and we'll see you. We may have something fun, by the way, planned for an episode over the break, but otherwise, we're going to take a little bit of a break just like the players are, and we'll see you guys later.
No break for me. If you want to follow TST, follow Empire Strikers. Me, Panda, and Reimer have some cool stuff to talk about TST. Now we say bye-bye.